That's better. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Deep Walia. I run a digital agency. We've been going for about 8 years now. And one of the main things that is often learned in an ongoing lesson is how to create content that connects with your audience. We've learned by many different sources that content is king. We've been told by Google, content is king. So over the years, the way we connect with our audience has changed. We used to use just simple blogs. Now we use all different types of formats. So today, what I want to talk to you about is how you create content that directly connects with your audience and leads them through a specific journey. But before we do that, let's talk about why. Why does this matter? We live in an age where, actually, let me rewind before I say that. We've always been taught never judge a book by its cover. In this day and age, it's more like we should never judge a business by its website. But the fact of the matter is, people do. We have very short attention spans, and there's choices plentiful. So when we make a Google search, often, if this website doesn't load, if the content isn't engaging, the choice to go back and find a competitor or find someone else to offer that service or product is plentiful. So when it comes to attention spans, 50 milliseconds is what we have to capture their attention. The attention span is actually 6 seconds to engage with them. But before they make a decision based on what you present, you have 50 milliseconds. And how, amongst 2 billion websites, do you stand out? Let's talk about exactly how you do that. Whoa, wrong way. There we go. We do this through 5 specific methods. Through the content itself, how it's written, the presentation of the content, the user journey, what the mobile journey looks like, and the performance of the website. So let's go and break these down a little bit. Content. When you write the content, you have to think about how it relates to the user in many different ways. Think about their position within the business. Think about where they are in the decision-making process and understand their needs. It could be anything from the discovery phase, or it could be that they're looking to specifically find some support based on an earlier discussion with someone. And through your content, we're working a lot now on telling stories. How do you transfer the information that you want about your product or service, story, journey, about the business through a story itself that resonates with the audience? So content is a big one in terms of its structure. The next is the presentation of that content. You have to make it easy to understand. Design is such a key thing nowadays, where typography and the misuse of typography makes it increasingly harder for people to actually digest the information. And that content should be relevant in its presentation. So whether you're using infographics, statistics, video is the next point. We use video, and video used to be expensive to create. It's not now. So whilst you have time to create the content, what you should be thinking about is how you're going to present that content on the pages of the website. The next is the user journey. Now, the first point on this is the personas. A lot of businesses don't take the time to understand their personas and generally fail at doing this and spending time on this exercise. What we like to do is actually do a lot of groundwork in the beginning to understand who is coming to the website and what is it that they want to understand. And we actually give them names. Bob from this company, Sarah from this company. And that way, the content that you put together and how you present it is directly related to Bob and where they are, or Sarah and where they are. Present the obvious. Sometimes they could have found some information from another platform. They've come over to your page or your website, or it could be that you've got an article out on a third-party website, and you just really want to support what discussions they've already had. And use different formats, case studies, infographics, quotes, videos. Use social to support the different people that are coming to your website. Mobile. A lot of the work that we do nowadays, we actually design the mobile journey first, and then we look at the desktop. And that was considered as working backwards. It's now the way we work, full stop. So we look at the mobile journey before we actually look at the desktop. And I've actually got a stat here that says 57% of internet users won't recommend a business with a poorly designed mobile experience. And that's only going to increase as 5G comes into power in the coming next year. Use FAQs. This is a tiny little cool way to drive content on mobile. Because the mobile journey is different, you can go to your FAQ section, and that's typically where a lot of the content can be presented, because that's what the users are going to be looking for in terms of content. We have a 3-second rule. We test the websites that we build and develop. If the website doesn't load fully and give me my answers in 3 seconds, it's not good enough. So 3-second rule, if you implement that, the likelihood is you're going to satisfy the user's requirements for content. Oh, this has gone backwards. Breakdown. It's a bit weird. Mobile, and I think the last one is performance. Keep your website light on build. We're talking to people all the time about keeping their website light on builds. Websites can be built in many different ways. You can have themes, you can have plugins. Plenty of plugins can be used. They slow down websites. They make it hard to load. They need updating. They have security flaws. Where possible, keep it light on its build and regularly test your website on speed. Maintain your updates. When a website doesn't perform properly, you will not connect with your audience. It's a completely disengagement. Don't just take my word for it. Here are some stats. 94% of people, first impressions are design related. 85% of visitors think that a website should be better or equal on mobile than on desktop. 88% of online consumers are less likely to return after a bad experience. So the key takeaways: create empathetic, accessible, and interactive content. It's a bit of work to get started, but it's well worth it. We often use an analogy about an arrow. You've got to move backwards in order to go forwards. It takes a bit of work to get going, but create content designed around those personas. Focus on relevant quality content that moves your user through the buying journey. Use different types of content, case studies, social, email, infographics, brochures, etc. And finally, align sales and marketing to increase buyer engagement. What we often find with slightly larger businesses is that marketing and sales are disaligned. They're misaligned. They're not working towards the same thing. And if those two departments are aligned, we talk about it pretty much week in, week out. Once sales are aligned with marketing, the buyer engagement along the journey increases. Metrics that matter. We talked about this about 3 years ago. Metrics and data points are really, really important in measuring the performance of of everything, of any campaign, of any website. Today, we create single views, also known as dashboards. Now, metrics that matter are really, really important, because for someone like Skyscanner, their metric that matters to them may be how many times someone uses their search for a particular flight. But if you go over to Facebook, the metric that matters to them may be their dwell time. So for businesses, it's really important that they understand what is the key metric that they're going to base their performance on. And it could be one, or it could be many. But it's important to understand the metrics that matter to your business and make sure that they are meaningful. Because once you understand the meaningful numbers, that's where the magic starts to happen. Aggregate multiple sources. So a lot of what we've been doing is you'll find department heads reporting into the board and they have to create reports from Instagram performance, Facebook, Google, the website performance, MailChimp, or the email campaigns. And these statistics are all over the place. And it takes a lot of time to create a single view on performance. So if you can aggregate this data, and there are tools out there that do this, and we do this for clients all the time, you can aggregate the data into a single view, and those reports are real time and live, and you can walk into a meeting at any one point and talk through those numbers. And because they are meaningful, because you've got a single view, they're metrics that matter. So in summary, 6 awesome tips. Don't be an onion. I love this one because we've really started to open up with our clients on don't be an onion. And by that I mean those clients that you have to peel back layer by layer, those partners that you work with that don't give you sight on what's happening for the next 12 months. It's very difficult to give them the best advice and plan for them. So don't be an onion with who you're working with. Just be completely clear and transparent about your plans within the business, what you want to do for the department, and just work with people. The second is, this is a really cool one, this burger menu. So you've got my phone, right? So you go to the burger menu you have on a mobile phone, you normally have it at the top, but the phone screens are so big, and you can't reach it now with one hand. So we move the burger menu to the bottom. So the menu opens up from the bottom up rather than from the top down. And that way, for the user, they can just tap it because their thumb's there. They don't have to bring out their other hand, or they don't have to reach like that. DM, the next one, dark mode. We see a lot of dark mode stuff. Apple launched dark mode a few months back, last year. And now what we've started to do is based on the user's time zone. So if you're in the US and it's midnight or past 7 p.m., we offer a dark mode experience. But you won't get it if you're in the other side of the world. It won't pop up because it's based on your time zone. So a lot of people are doing, they search when they're watching a program in the evening. I do a lot of reading in bed. It's a bad thing, but on my phone, if I have a dark mode experience, I'm going to use it. So based on your time zone, you can offer that. Speed is uber important. So use the tools that are out there. Cloudflare, CDN hosting, make your website light. KMP over C. What does that mean? On your website, knowledge and position over conversion. Don't worry about the conversion. In our experience, the conversion will come. Provide them with the knowledge about your product, services, and who you are, your ethos, your culture, the kind of modern day way of working. Position yourself, and the conversion will come. 3-click rule. So in the company, we have a 3-click rule. We like threes. If your content, at any single point for any single user, should be available within 3 clicks. So if you come to the website and you're a brand new visitor and you want to find out what the company is about, you should be able to do that within 3 clicks. Content should not be buried. So your navigation and your user journey should be clearly mapped out. 2020 watch list. Vertical video. We all know about Instagram. Vertical video is a big deal. Big engagement. And as we get onto, thank you very much. As we get into 2020, you'll find a lot more tools that offer you the ability to film, just like the gentleman at the back and over there. You can pop them into a software, and they will auto arrange that content into a vertical or square 1x1 for Instagram. Vertical video is really important. Automation with humanization. What a mouthful. Chatbots, personalized content. So many different ways to automate the marketing world. But it detaches the human side of things. In 2020, what we'll find is we need to really consider the human touches because they will become even more important. Interactive content and smart content. 2 people go to a website. I've been there 3 times before. The gentleman next to me has not. The content on that website will be different and should be different if you are personalizing, which leads on to point number 5, hyper-personalization. Metrics that matter, I mentioned slightly, is an area that we are excelling in. And for businesses, you'll find that board level members are only interested in real top numbers. Departmental heads want slightly more detailed numbers, and executives, they want the granular detail to report in upwards. So the metrics that matter, single views are highly important to driving new campaigns, allocating budgets, resources. Leveraging abundance. So what you'll find next, and as we continue to have a load of data, is that there's an abundance of information. And we get ourselves drowned in it. And we often don't know what to do. So if you leverage the right points within that information, and you feed them back into your sales, that is the best way to leverage that data. But you've got to start to segment out the abundance and what really matters to you. So that's 2020. I think I'm about wrapped up. We can stay connected. There we are. LinkedIn. Oh. How'd that happen? The presentation is available if you wanted it. And you can catch me on LinkedIn, Deep Walia, /Deep Walia. Thank you very much.
We have one question that will pull up on screen, and that is, what is your most successful case study?
Cool, okay. We had a client that has a huge event, and 6 weeks before the event, their web company went AWOL. And they had about 3,000 odd pages on their website, and we had to put our socks up, come in and pretty much save the day. And we did. We worked tirelessly. We had to partner with a couple of people to get that done, but the project management side was pretty immense. And when you're dealing with that number of pages, you've not just got to think about internal resource, but you've got to think about the SEO side of things. You've got to think about content migration, all the analytical stuff that has to be taken care of. So for me, I would have to say saving the day within that 6-week period won us a lot of credence within the world, within the digital space.
Okay, yeah, that's all that was submitted. Does anyone else have any questions for Deep? Okay, if not, then that concludes the session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Thank you very
joining.
much.